We're live. So, how's everyone doing? I know we are a little late. I know we said we'll do every day at 4 p.m., but hectic day. I don't think you guys can blame me. We do have a video out on the India-Pakistan war. Hopefully, you have seen that. If not, you can go watch it right after. But things have been escalating, and people are floating out very interesting theories. Here we have one with Patrick Bet-David. We'll join into this in just a few minutes. I'll let more people join in because right now we have around 100 people in here. But if you haven't hit the like button, be sure to hit that. And you can see the subscribe counter right above my head. We want to make sure we get more and more of you guys subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you guys can hear me fine, maybe just go ahead, say yes in the chat so I can follow along. I just also want to see how long is the delay, because I still don't know if there is a delay. I think delay is like 10 seconds. So not super long, but there is some delay. Perfect. I see the chat. But what do you guys think? You guys think China was involved somehow in this? Because it's happening pretty close to the tariff announcements. So a lot of people are floating out theories. Here's one. We have one from Valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David. The timing of India-Pakistan war is very interesting. The moment Apple and others announce moving business away from China to India, this happens. Tariffs are destroying China, and this is their way of causing chaos for one country that can take away business from them. Now, this is something many people were talking about before India decided to get their retaliation. Now, this is something people were, now, I guess this, as you guys can see, all the information is on the screen, so we're getting it from Twitter right now. But yeah, anything we watch, we'll link it down below. Honestly, war won't happen. Yeah, I think people do believe, someone just said that war wouldn't happen. A lot of people are saying that Pakistan may not retaliate as they are speaking, because we also have to realize that all of these politicians, they also have to serve the domestic audience. So even though they talk big talk, they may not fight back. And that's something a lot of people were debating with India too, because people were saying that India has India has a historic opportunity to take a lot of business away from China and on the way help out their economy. But if India does get into a prolonged war with Pakistan, a lot of the businesses are not going to go to India. They're going to pick some other country. And if that happens, factories don't move. Once businesses make a decision that, hey, we're going to set up in Vietnam or we're going to set up in Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, they're not moving. So right now, the opportunity India has, it is very rare. So India also has to balance between starting a war, responding to the terrorist attack that Pakistan carried out, but also making sure that they don't scare away all the businesses who are looking into India to move their factories away from China. Gonna check. Oh yeah, I know yesterday we had our chat on the screen, but it didn't seem that nice. Like it just seemed distracting. So today I think we're just gonna have no chat. So we do have 700 people watching. So if you guys haven't hit that like button, we have 700 people watching and only 70 likes. So if you can hit the like button down below, it'd be nice. Yep, I do have a face. And yes, name is Sam, by the way, if you guys want to know. Yeah, I know China Uncensored. I love their videos and definitely watch them every single day. Or I guess they do every other day for videos. I'm not really sure if they have a schedule, but I love their channel. Thank you so much for $2, Manik Kalia. Hopefully I'm saying that right. We have someone from Boston. Yeah, if you guys just got the notification, we just went live like 3 minutes ago. That's why I'm waiting a little before we get into all the news I have, because I don't want people missing out. So some people join in after a few minutes of us going live, so we'll wait a little for more people to join in. We got people from Portugal, everything, but let's go to the next one. Now, this is not a theory, because a lot of people predicted China may try to cause something to just distract people. And here we have one of the Twitter accounts that I truly respect. So I don't know his real name, which I should remember, I'm forgetting it, but he was a professor in China. Then he decided to criticize the CCP while teaching in China, so he was basically banned and kicked out. But he has had very close connection to a lot of people who are still in China, and he himself has seen the rise of Xi Jinping and a lot of other people. Balding's World, that's his Twitter. I highly recommend you guys go check it out. You can go pee. You know, YouTube live stream, you can always go back. So I'm not going to slow down, but you can always go back and join up once you come back from peeing. But he has an interesting theory. Now, he knows a lot about China, and he has predicted a lot of things that have played out very correctly. If I were a cynical man, one would theorize that China is testing out technology in multiple theaters to observe the readiness and technology of foreign adversaries. If I were a cynical man. Now, the reason he brings it up is there's been a lot of news about China or Pakistan shooting down a couple of Indian jets. Now, we don't know exactly how many they shot down, but we do have footage of at least one Rafale being on the ground. Basically, it crashed. Now, India hasn't confirmed that it was Pakistan who shot it down, or it could be just a crash. But Pakistan, on the other hand, says they have shot down 5 jets. Now, that doesn't seem to be the truth. That doesn't seem to be true, but it seems like the truth is somewhere in between. So it's anywhere between 1 jet to 5 jets, somewhere in between. Pakistan did shoot down Indian jets. And the reason many people are theorizing Pakistan was able to do that is because Pakistan has a lot of Chinese military tech. And it seems to be that China may be paying a close attention to everything that's going down, because this might be the first time a lot of Chinese tech is getting tested in like actual battlefield. Now, we do have $1.99 from Chad Alexander. That was our first super of the live. So thank you so much. And in a second, we'll get into like all the big escalation that has happened since yesterday. Anyone who was watching yesterday, you guys know, we were just covering the China news. And the Indian attack happened while we were live. So we covered it a little bit, but I hopped off because I wanted to work on a video. Yes, so Pakistani officials have said that this is officially war. Basically what they said is the attack that India launched is a declaration of war. So I would say indirectly that is like Pakistan declaring war. That's what they're claiming. And they also said that they'll attack or they'll respond to the Indian attack at their choosing, their time, and their place. When you have a minute, can you explain your political views overall? Well, I definitely agree with a lot of stuff Trump is doing when it relates to China. I really don't like how he keeps extending TikTok. I think we should have banned TikTok a long time ago. And it doesn't make sense why we keep extending it all the while fighting a tariff war with China, because what China is doing is they're using TikTok to push propaganda. That's just not smart. Let me pull up an example for you guys. China is pushing propaganda straight to American citizens. So Chinese goal is simple. China knows they cannot win this tariff war, right? But one way they cannot, but the one way they can win technically is if they just get US to back down. And how do you get the Trump administration to back down? You turn the public opinion against this tariff war. And they have the perfect tool for that. They can use TikTok to push Chinese propaganda straight to American citizens. And that's exactly why I think we should ban it. I have a perfect example. Let me pull it up. Sir. Okay, I think I got it. Let me pull it up for you guys. Where is this? Okay, right here. So luckily, we have a fellow YouTuber, Winston Sertel, or Serpenshaw. You guys may know his channel. He's been fighting against Chinese propaganda a lot. So if you haven't followed him on Twitter, I highly recommend you do so. But this is basically a Chinese video showing affordable homes in China that is going viral on TikTok. So let's watch the video real quick. I mean, clearly, sick house, like crazy view, or a lot of room. This is a huge living room. At least that's what it seems like to me.
Let me love you now. With the lights down low, I will let it show. Another one of me will come around again. Another one of me will come around. And you can't say nothing.
The music is not too loud, right? Hopefully. Oh, we're gonna get copyrighted. Hopefully not.
With the lights down low, I will let you know. I'm sorry for the pain I caused.
So on TikTok, this video is going viral, and basically the claim is that this is China's where is this claim? Oh yeah, next level affordable houses. And this is what US government doesn't want US citizens to see, and that's why they're attacking China with tariffs. That's the claim, and it's going viral on TikTok. But let's find out what the truth is, okay? So here we have a fellow YouTuber just exposing this. So this building is called SCT, located in Shenzhen, which is like the Silicon Valley of China. And the apartment you shared cost 3.3 million USD. To me, that doesn't seem like next level affordable in a country where 600 million people still earn $5 or less. I don't think they will ever reach a point where they can afford an apartment like this. Apartment in this building go up to $5.5 million. Next level affordable, my AAS. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. On high end, the average salary in China is $16,000 a year. Who can afford this? How much is $16,000 per day? Let's say you're working 5 days a week, times 52 weeks, so 260. 260. So on average, people are earning $60 a day, and people are saying this is affordable housing in China. So this is the exact reason. Oh, volume is too low. Oh my God. Okay, my bad. Let me check that real quick. 16K is the minimum wage. Maybe in areas like Silicon Valley of China, because a lot of Chinese population still lives in like villages, and they don't earn a lot. I think there's some stat, I don't know the exact stat, but 300 people, million people in China are still under the poverty line. And that's the poverty line that's considered by the UN, not that by the CCP. Yep, Taiwan is an independent country. That's correct, Lucius Cat. By the way, we have almost 1,400 people. That's pretty insane. If you haven't hit the like button, be sure to do so. It helps us out tremendously in case there are any bots or anything that are downloading the video, and it also helps us in the algorithm. Also, we have a subscribe counter right above my head. We're trying to get to 900. As you can see, we're at 858 right now. So if you haven't subscribed, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. But let's look at how Trump has reacted to this India-Pakistan stuff that's going on.
Yes.
Is the volume good? Can people be prevented from leaving the cities? I don't think in China people can be prevented from leaving the city, but the way the Chinese law does work is you're very heavily tied to where you're born. So what I mean by that is a lot of the access you have to hospitals, to schools and stuff depends on what is your birthplace. Even if you move, your access is still dependent on the place you were born in, which is kind of problematic. Oh wow, we got people from India, Taiwan, that's pretty sick. Yeah, the house we looked at, definitely sick. So if this wasn't in China, I would definitely want to live there. But I don't know if I want to live in China. But it's definitely just like a very nice apartment. Huge apartment, like you can see. But it's not what China claims to be. Like US has apartments like this too. For $3 million, you can get a very nice house in Houston, in Florida, maybe not in California though. Okay, perfect. Volume's pretty good. Let's listen to how Trump is reacting to the India-China war that's going on.
Diplomatic actions between the war in India and Pakistan. What's your position?
Oh, it's so terrible. My position is I get along with both. I know both very well, and I want to see them work it out. I want to see them stop. And hopefully they can stop now. They've gone tit for tat, so hopefully they can stop now. But I know both. We get along with both the countries very well. Good relationships with both, and I want to see it stop. And if I can do anything to help, I will be there.
Now, someone asked if the Rafale jet shot down by the Pak army. So we do know from some footage that there is a Rafale jet that has been like crashed in India. So now we don't know if it was shot down by the Pakistani army or not. It could be just crashed. Now, Indian government hasn't really confirmed anything, and the Pakistani government is saying they have shot down 5 jets, which seems to be like a very high overestimation, at least from my thinking. But I do have some, actually, since everyone's asking about if Pakistan shot down the jet, I have a very good clip. Where did I put it? It was the Pakistani defense minister talking about, oh, I found it. Let's go. This is the Pakistani defense minister talking about how much China has shot down. All right.
Brought up the fact that India lost.
Okay. I don't know, that apartment did look sick. I wouldn't say it's not unusual in China. I doubt everyone is living like that in China because we know how much they earn.
Some fighter jets. So let's be quite clear about this. Pakistan claims it shot down 5 Indian Air Force jets and a drone, as I understand it. India says there's no evidence of that, no proof. So can you provide more detail? Hold on. Can you provide more detail? And is this the response that your army spokesman threatened, or is there further action to come? Let's start with this very specific allegation of 5 fighter jets shot down. Where's the evidence for that, sir?
It's all over the social media, on Indian social media, not on our social media. The debris of these jets fell into Indian occupied Kashmir, and it's all over Indian media today.
You're the defense
And they have
minister.
admitted their media has.
The reason to talk to you
Their
today, sir,
media
it's not to talk about
their media-
content all over social media. I'm sorry. It's not to talk about content all over social media. I'm asking you very specifically for the evidence, for the detail. For example, was any Chinese equipment?
That is crazy. Like, that's the defense minister of Pakistan. And the evidence he's providing is on social media. But the problem is everyone's lying on social media. The Indian side is lying, like people who are supporting India, and the people who are supporting Pakistan are lying. They're using all these old clips and saying their side is winning. So it's very, very hard to just see what's actually happening. Now, the Rafale jet thing is true because we have confirmation from the French side. And as many of you guys may know, French are the one who actually manufacture the Rafale jet, and it's likely they sold it to India. So we do have a confirmation from France that one jet has been downed. Now, we don't know if it was shot down by Pakistan or if it just crashed. Either way, not good news for India, but luckily it was downed in Indian territory. So it doesn't seem like that any of the Indian jets actually crossed into Pakistani airspace, because they just targeted a lot of the towns that were on the border, and they could do that just while staying in the Indian side.
Used by Pakistan to down these Rafale jets, as I understand you are alleging them to be.
No Chinese equipment. We have Chinese planes, JF-17 and JF-10. They are Chinese planes, but they are being manufactured, assembled in Pakistan now. We have very close to Islamabad. We have a facility over there where these planes are manufactured.
I actually don't know Poland's stance, but I do know a lot of Polish people, and they seem to be on the Indian side. So China is most definitely on Pakistan's side. US is trying to play the middleman. So they say, hey, we just don't want war. We are friends with both countries. We don't want this escalating into anything big. I think Russia is something of the same, maybe more on the India side. I'm not 100% about the Russia stance. And yeah, those are like the major countries. I think Europe is still like in the middle. They're trying to just mediate so it doesn't escalate.
Manufactured. And if India can buy planes from France and use them, we can also buy planes from China or Russia or United States or UK and use them. And let me say one thing.
Now, the reason why the reporter asked the Chinese question specifically, because many people have speculated that the reason Pakistan was able to take down the French jet that India is using is because of the new Chinese missile. I think it's called PL-15 or PL-15E, which is like the export version of the missile that has a smaller range. If that is true, this is the first time we are seeing Chinese military tech in use, basically, in like a modern war. So that's exactly why like people are so interested in if it was a Chinese missile or not. Hopefully, we get more information on that in the coming days.
They have already admitted that the 3 planes were down.
Yeah, Low Y86, definitely a great YouTuber too. I watch him a lot.
Can I just repeat the question that I asked? I wasn't asking whether Chinese fighter jets were used. I'm just, was any Chinese equipment used by Pakistan to down these jets that you suggest were targeted?
Well, these planes were down with the dogfight. Missiles were fired by our planes, and they were shot down.
So he's basically claiming that he shot down using air-to-air missiles, which could mean that Chinese missiles were used, because it's unlikely that Pakistan has their own air-to-air missiles. Now, in the coming days, we should have more information. I think Pakistan has a big maintenance and parts problem to support their aviation. Actually, I have seen some very interesting reports on this, and it does seem like that Pakistan may have a stronger air force than China. That's the crazy part. Oh yeah, we did hit 900 subscribers. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you haven't subscribed already, you can hit the subscribe button. As you can see right above my head, there is a subscribe counter. We have over 1,500 viewers, so let's get that like count up. We have less than 500 likes while 1,500 of you guys are watching. So if you haven't liked the stream, be sure to hit the like button. Pakistan has over 1,000 AIM-120 from the US. Yeah, Pakistan does have a lot of US military tech, because they used to be our ally, but slowly they have drifted apart, especially since Osama bin Laden was found in Pakistan. I'm not sure how true it is if Pakistan is selling shells to Ukraine. I actually don't know too much about it. We'll look into that later today. Let's move on to the next video. This is just an update on how this war is going and Sky News. Actually, let's watch this because Michael Clark, definitely one of my favorite assessors, especially when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine war. But he's really good in general with the military stuff, and he breaks down what's true in this war and what's fake information. Because as you guys may know, especially if you've been on Twitter, both sides are lying a lot. What is the relationship between CCP and North Korea? Mane Kalia. I think CCP is basically keeping North Korea alive. That's the only country that trades. That's one of the two countries I think that trades with North Korea, China and Russia. But North Korea is dependent on China like very, very heavily. It doesn't even compare when it comes to Russia. I think they get almost 60-70% of their grain from China, maybe more stuff, military stuff too. So without China, I think there would be no North Korea. Because if you guys look at it, only dictatorships that do survive are the dictatorships that have a lot of oil. So North Korea in that sense is a very unique example where that family has been able to survive for so long without actually having like oil money or something.
After the 22nd of April, the attack there,
Well, it depends on the information, right? Some information, like I watch a lot of YouTube videos from other YouTubers and like, Sky News and stuff, and Twitter, big part of the information, news, Google News, you just look at different news websites.
the Indians would respond in some way. They said they would, and they said their response would be at a time and place of their choosing. And last night we saw what it was, a series of missiles.
Yeah, exactly. Criticizing Chinese government is not anti-China. I would argue like the biggest victims of the CCP are Chinese people. That's why CCP spends more money on internal security than they spend on their military, because they're more afraid of the Chinese people themselves than they are afraid of foreign adversaries like US, Japan, or Taiwan.
Strikes in Kashmir itself on a series of bases that Indian intelligence say.
So, you guys can see like all the strikes that India carried out are right on the border. So it's unlikely that any of the Indian jets actually crossed into Pakistan. What's more likely is that Indian drones were above Pakistan and Pakistan shot them down. Now, Pakistan may be just claiming it that those were planes, when in reality, it's unlikely that any planes actually crossed over.
They were terrorist bases, and by and large, they were attacking Lashkar-e-Toiba bases, which they say Lashkar-e-Toiba.
You think Chinese population is less than 1 billion? See, I wouldn't know. We have someone working on that. I'll learn more as I read more about it. But I have seen a lot of comments about it and some reports saying that CCP has grossly miscounted, whether intentionally or unintentionally, their population. So Chinese population may be like a lot smaller than what CCP presents. So again, usually I would say every country, they definitely have like some problem because it's very hard to count millions and millions of people. But a lot of people claim that Chinese population may be like hundreds of millions less than what CCP is actually claiming. No. It's just, it's not water. It's like, I forget what it is. It's like Gatorade basically, but with water.
They blame mainly for the attack of the 22nd of April in Kashmir. Pakistan disputes this. There's no confirmation, but that's what Indian intelligence really says. It's said by the Pakistanis that 5 Indian aircraft were brought down. I think that's very unlikely, because if you look at the ranges involved, I mean, some of these places are only 20 miles away from the line of control on the Indian side. Indian aircraft were well capable of launching missile strikes against all of these targets without ever leaving their own airspace. So the idea that aircraft were brought down is stretching it a bit from my point of view, unless the Indians are doing something very unconventional. But quite likely, there were drones over those targets, and they may well have brought down some drones, and that would make perfect sense. So that was so much so expected. But what the Indians also did is that they struck inside Pakistan itself. And if you look at it further south, at Bahawalpur, this was a strike in the area much further south. And in Bahawalpur, the Indians claim that this is a Jaish-e-Mohammed base. This is where Jaish-e-Mohammed are not in the...
Oh, wow, someone's watching this as 4 a.m. Where are you, Miko? 4 a.m. is insane. Or 3 a.m., I guess.
...frame for that particular attack.
would China benefit from an India-Pakistan war? Because companies and investors were going to move all their factory to India. So in that case, they would switch to allow. Well, that's the thing. China would benefit. So this is something we opened the stream with, and this is what Valuetainment Patrick Bet-David tweeted out today. The timing of the India-Pakistan war is very interesting. The moment Apple and others announced moving business away from China to India, this happens. Tariffs are destroying Chinese economy, and this is their way of causing chaos for one country that can take away business from them. Now, China may benefit. Now, again, this doesn't necessarily mean that companies will not move out from India. In fact, it's quite possible that instead of going to India, they may go to some other country, right? They may go to Latin America, they may go to Vietnam, they may go to Cambodia. So a lot of companies who are moving out from China may not go to India if India does get into a prolonged war. So in that sense, China is definitely benefiting where it's not going to India, which is like a direct geopolitical rival right on China's border. But it's unlikely that a lot of companies would just give up on moving out of China. And other thing people don't bring up is now that we know that COVID came from Wuhan lab, hopefully we can say that on YouTube now, because we've had videos get taken down like 2 years ago if you say COVID came from the lab. But now we know, like, with pretty certainty. CIA has said that. We have a bipartisan congressional report saying that. A lot more other countries are saying that. So the timing of COVID coming out was very suspect too. We had tariff war in 2018, and the negotiations were going on, and then we had the COVID virus in 2019. Doesn't mean China released it on purpose at that time, but China did benefit from it in terms of the tariff war. Yeah, I don't think America will get involved in this India-Pakistan war. At least they shouldn't. I think hopefully this doesn't escalate anymore. As someone was saying at the beginning of the stream, it may be that everyone's talking big, like Pakistan's talking big. India's saying that if Pakistan heads back, we'll head back harder, because everyone's just trying to create their own deterrence. But other side of this also is like everyone wants to play to their own audience, as in like they don't want to seem like the weaker party to their own citizens, right? India doesn't want to be seeming like that to Indian citizens. Pakistanis don't want it to be seeming like that to Pakistani citizens. So that's why they have to talk big. Maybe Pakistan will carry out some strike that's not as, I guess, hurtful or decisive, and then both sides will just say, hey, we did what we were supposed to do. Exactly what happened in 2019. So we'll just wait and see. Right now, only thing we can predict is probabilities. Like, no one knows the future, but you can say, oh, there's a high probability this will happen. This is a low probability this will happen. Doesn't mean the low probability cannot happen. It's just the chances are low based on the information right now. But let's continue with Professor Clark.
Attack on the 22nd of April are said to operate. And Pakistan says that this attack was on a mosque, and that in that mosque a number of civilians, including women and children, were killed. Certainly, this is verified footage of an attack. This is unverified footage of a destroyed mosque. It's plausible that this is the mosque. This is what Pakistan says was attacked last night. That's plausible. And what the Indian...
I don't think America will join the war, and even if we did, which is a big if, I don't think there's going to be a draft. We have one of the biggest militaries already.
Say, of course, is that the mosque is exactly where Jaish-e-Mohammed were planning and where they kept weapons and where they did some of their organisational work. It's plausible, of course, that both sides are telling the truth, because terrorist groups normally base themselves inside civilian buildings. They do their organisation inside civilian buildings, which have other purposes. And so when these bases, if that's what they are struck, then civilians die. So both sides may well be telling the truth about this. But why did the Indians do it? Why strike inside Pakistan when they only needed to strike, for the sake of credibility, the bases in Kashmir itself? Because they want to up the ante a little bit to show that they take those attacks of the 22nd of April very, very...
And isn't the U.S. military budget now more than $1 trillion? But that's definitely a great thing. But a lot of people miscalculate China's military budget. But that's something we'll cover in the future. China lies about how much they spend. They are spending almost $700 billion too.
Very seriously. And what this is all about is not just tit-for-tat strikes. The Pakistanis have said, well, we will strike back at a time and place of our choosing, and that will happen, we guess, in the next few days. It sounds like playground politics. The grown-up version of that playground politics is that both sides are trying to re-establish deterrence. They're trying to make it clear to the other side that we will hurt you, and if you do this again, we'll hurt you even more, so don't do it again. That's the message. That's the grown-up version. But, of course, deterrence is incredibly perceptual. Deterrence is what the other side feels deterred by. So the threshold of deterrence is what you think it is. And we rely for stability on both sides having about the same threshold. If they get it wrong, if they think that the threshold is higher than it really is, then they can make big mistakes.
Kind of does seem like India didn't know that Pakistan had like Chinese missiles to take down the jets. If we get confirmation that India did lose jets, because yeah, it's crazy losing jets, because especially when they're inside India, like that's actually a crazy part. Oh yeah, so this conflict is insane. This Kashmir region, they've been fighting over this for almost 70 years. I know Trump likes to say it's been for centuries, but I think it's been ever since India got independence. And this part here is, I think, controlled by China, because China is always involved whenever something's going on in that area. We'll get to the history of that in just a second. But let's watch how all this started, and we'll watch Patrick Bet-David, because it started, I think, 2 weeks ago when some tourist destination was attacked by terrorists that came from Pakistan. So that's why India is attacking Pakistan right now. This will be Cold War lasting up to several years. Equilibrium has been disturbed, and we are headed towards domestic sympathetic groups and more Black Swan event. I guess you could say this will be Cold War, but I think India and Pakistan have never stopped fighting. Ever since the countries were formed, they've been fighting each other like every few years. And even if they're not fighting, there's always something going on. Like this is a big fight going on. That's why everyone's talking about it. But every single day, like I'm sure something happens. India is trying to take out terrorists in Pakistan, or Pakistan is sending someone into India. Everyone just needs. Yeah, I saw the GTA 6. What is it called? The trailer. It looks pretty cool. GTA 6 may be the first game I play again in like years. I'm excited for GTA 6. I don't think most of India's GDP goes to military. That's kind of the stupid part. Because India is growing pretty fast, but it is crazy how close they are militarily to Pakistan. Like India is 10 times bigger economically compared to Pakistan's economy, but their military is pretty matched. So India definitely needs to spend more on their military, because this is why like to be safe, you have to have a strong military. So all the people who argue against the US not increasing their military spending, it's like we are enjoying the benefits of how much we spend. Like it's been pretty safe in the US. And it's like one of those things where like if the military spending is working, we don't notice it because there's no, like, you know, nothing is happening in the mainland US. So people just forget like, oh, how important it is. Because all these countries at war, like they don't have a strong military, and that's why they have to like compete so much, fight so much. Because even if you're equal to some other country, you're still at risk of them like someone just going crazy in the other country and coming to attack you, basically. But let's look over how this war started between India and Pakistan.
India just bombed Pakistan.
Hopefully the audio is good. By the way, we got more than 1,600 people and we only have 600 likes. So if you haven't hit the like button yet, be sure to do that down below. And there's a subscriber counter right above my head. So hit that subscribe button. We're trying to get to 67,000. Let's aim to get to 67,000.
India literally just attacked Pakistan, and this is not good. This attack was a reaction to what happened on 22nd when 5 militants from Pakistan terrorist group come in and killed 26 only men. They allowed their wives to live. They killed 26 men.
This is insane. So like I said, the attack happened at a military place, and apparently this guy was just enjoying his day and he was recording the attack without knowing.
The women will go show Modi what we
Some guy is still running from the gunshots.
did. They had the folks who said, "What religion are you?"
Someone just got shot. And this guy is just enjoying his slide or zip line.
I'm Hindu. Boom, kill them. What religion are you? I'm Muslim.
Yeah.
Oh, the folks who said, "What religion are you?" I'm Hindu. Boom, kill them. What religion are you? I'm Muslim. Oh, really? Yeah. Why don't you tell me the Islamic kalima? They don't have it. Boom, kill them. Now, why does this matter? Because when you think about the top countries in the world with the most nuclear arsenal, you know where Pakistan and India are? Neck and neck. 1/6 place, which is India with 172. The other is 170. And by the way, do you know how a Pakistani official just responded to Al Jazeera named Faisal Kundi? You know what he said about nuclear weapons? Listen to this. Our nuclear bombs are not meant to be displayed in museums. We will use them if attacked by India, all is fair in love and in war. He said this on April 30th. Today's the attack by India. This could escalate like this. And the reason why this has happened, a lot of people are talking about going back to, hey, when you think about, is this like a World War III possibility?
Yeah, it was insane. The guy who was on the zipline, he didn't know what was going on. That's the crazy part, though. So I don't blame him for just recording. You know, I think if he knew what was going on, he would try to get to the end and run away. That's the thing.
We can't have those two guys go at it. Or is this more like Cold War, what happened where Russia was communism and they were behind all the Korean War, Vietnam War, all the, even some of the war that was happening with the Iran-Contra, they're behind of it? Or is this more?
Yeah, so nuclear weapons or nuclear warhead, you have to maintain them. If you don't maintain them, they lose their, like every year they lose some of the, like the potentness, I guess. I don't know what the right move is.
More like in this situation, China's behind everything because they're instigating Pakistan. Is U.S. all of a sudden going to get involved with this? Russia's kind of involved because they got a very good relationship
Also,
with.
the craziest part was the attack happened on April 22nd. That's when the U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance was visiting India. And that's just insane because I think Pakistan's usually not happy about U.S. and India getting closer. And so whenever we have a big visit, something does happen.
India, 60% of the military equipment that India uses, they bought from Russia, and 40% of the oil that Russia sells, India is the customer. So there's a very interesting dynamic going on here. We're going to talk about that today. Okay, so if you get value out of this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. If you want the notes, stick around till the end. I'll tell you how to get it on a circle that we have on Monex. So why?
See, you guys complain about our videos that asking for likes is not a good idea. It works. So if you haven't hit the like button down below, be sure to hit it.
Why should you and I care about this as an American? If you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, why should you care about this? The reason why this is a little bit scary for a lot of people is because China is not happy with what's going on with tariffs. Trust me, no one is feeling the pain more than China. Nobody is. 22nd, those Muslim terrorists from Pakistan attacked the 26 people and killed them. 25th, Apple comes out and announces we're moving our 60 million iPhones away from China and we're going to go to India. Even though they had announced it on April 7th earlier that they're thinking about it, but the 25th, it becomes official. You think they're happy? Then Dell, HP, bunch of other.
What is Pakistan's relationship to current Afghanistan? Thank you so much again for two euros, Mane. But I think Pakistan and Afghanistan are actually not on good sittings because even though back in the day Pakistan used to support Taliban, I think Taliban is now unhappy with Pakistan because they want Pakistan to be like a little bit more, like I think a little bit more in line with how Taliban thinks. But Pakistan's not that hardcore, I guess. And so they've been having fights on their own border a lot, like over the past year. Like last year, they had some big like troop movements, and Taliban may use this current tensions between Pakistan and India to maybe gain some territories on the other side of the border.
Other people are announcing that they're leaving China. This is not a good thing for China. China's sitting on saying, holy moly, what are we going to do about this? By the way, some people are calling this as a possibility of the last time the Wuhan lab, a virus has leaked out of the Wuhan lab, but China didn't do it.
We don't know the definitive answer to that.
It comes from China.
And then the entire world shut down. This could be one of the ways of China's temper tantrum, saying, you don't know what kind of power we got? Watch what we're going to do. You want to move your stuff to India? We're going to poke Pakistan into going and attacking India. We're going to make your life a living hell. Behind closed doors, proxy type of wars that may be happening. So before we go through all these points that I have, I think it's important for us to know the history of why do people from Pakistan, Muslims, and people from India, Hindu, why do they hate each other as much as they do? So in 1947, British India was divided in two different independent states. India, majority Hindu, and you got Pakistan, majority Muslim. The division was chaotic and violent, leading to mass migration of millions and the deaths of estimated 1 to 2 million people. Kashmir, a princely state with a Muslim majority population but ruled by a Hindu Maharaja, became the immediate flashpoint. So Maharaja initially wanted to stay independent, but faced with an invasion by Pakistani tribal forces, he acceded to India. So majority Muslim, but Hindus running it, so they acceded to India, which is kind of interesting, problematic, similar to Donbass, Crimea, or even Gaza, West Bank. Hey, it's ours. No, it's ours. No, it's so.
I would not say it's similar to Donbass in any sense. First of all, in Donbass, the referendum, people just speak Russian. They don't want to be part of Russia. And same with Kashmir. They held the referendum, but it was not accurate. And the ruler sided with India only because Pakistan invaded him. He wanted to be independent, but Pakistan didn't want him being independent.
Nagorno-Karabakh also in Armenia. So no, it's Azerbaijan, no, it's Armenia. That constant battle that's taking place, similar situation here. So that led to the first Kashmir War that started in 1947 and ended in 1949 with a UN-brokered ceasefire, which caused Kashmir to be divided, which is Indian-administrated Kashmir and a Pakistani-administered Kashmir, referred to by Pakistan as the Azad Kashmir.
Let me pull up the map. So this is the whole Kashmir. The green is Pakistan. This is India right here. And then China comes in later in the 60s and takes this. Name's Sam, by the way. Someone just asked who's joining in. By the way, anyone who's just joining in, be sure to hit the like button down below. We're just going through the war that's been going between India and Pakistan and how China is involved. Let me see if I can find a better map. Oh, right here. Perfect map. So when India got free, I think Pakistan invaded, controlled this part. But then they gave this to China, basically to create the alliance. They wanted better partnership with a stronger nation, so they basically gave up some territories just so China would support them.
Kashmir. So that's the first war. Then we have the second war that starts in 1965. Again, Kashmir. Pakistan.
Pakistan's relationship with Iran I don't get why more people are not talking about it. Pakistan has nuclear weapons, right? And Iran's getting close to getting nuclear weapons. And we clearly don't want them having nuclear weapons because they support Hamas, they support Hezbollah, they support Houthis. But people don't realize Iran got their centrifuges, that's the thing you use to create the nuclear weapons, from Pakistan. And like Pakistan is clearly helping Iran get nuclear weapons, and we are not. Like CIA says this, our agency is saying this, and no one talks about it as much as they should.
Attempted to foment insurgency in India, Kashmir, resulted in a full-scale war between India and Pakistan, ceasefire brokered by Tashkent Agreement, again mediated by the Soviet Union, little territorial change but deepened hostility. Then that led to the Bangladesh Liberation War 1971 when East Pakistan, now Bangladesh, sought independence from West Pakistan. India supported Bangladesh independence fighters. War resulted in the creation of Bangladesh, a humiliating defeat for Pakistan with 90,000 of their troops. We're talking 90,000 of troops surrendering. And by the way, keep in mind, we can go to the Kargil War in 1999. We can talk about the different terrorist attacks. We can talk about what happened in 2001 with the Parliament attack when terrorists attacked India.
So this is also an interesting story, how Pakistan got nukes. So I think someone was working somewhere in Scandinavia or some European country who was from Pakistani origins. And he wasn't a high-level nuclear guy in any sense. His job was, he was at some very secret facility where he had a job. And his job was to just make copies of these documents. And when he started making copies, he was still like, I think, a physicist major or something, so he knew a lot about. He had a chemist degree or physicist degree. So he realized that things he was supposed to make copies of, they were designs and instructions on how to create a nuclear bomb. So he made copies of all the documents and then went back to Pakistan and created the bomb. Then what they started doing is they tried to turn this into a business. So instead of just having the nuclear bomb for Pakistan, he was going to help like any country that wanted the bomb, and he would sell it for millions, maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. But CIA found out he was doing this, and that's when US cracked down on Pakistan, and that's when like it stopped. Otherwise, a lot more countries would have the bomb, all because this guy was able to get access to the papers that explained how to make the bomb. Again, not the exact story, but that's like the gist of it. I watched some documentary on it, and that's all I could remember right now. We'll watch it in the future.
In Parliament, nearly triggering another war. We can talk about the Mumbai attacks in 2008, which militants from Pakistani base, Lashkar al-Taibi, killed over 170 people. They also attacked the Taj Mahal Hotel, which I visited before in Mumbai. It's a beautiful property, right on the water, and massive international outrage followed. You can also talk about the Pulwama attack, 2019, suicide bombing killed 40 Indian soldiers in Kashmir. India responded with airstrikes in Balakot, Pakistan. This is constant. And then it leads to the nuclear development, where they said, look, man, if we're going to be doing this, we got to make sure we're ready for this. 1974, India tested its first nuclear device, Smiling Buddha. 1988, both India and Pakistan officially tested nuclear weapons. Then post-1998, fear of conventional wars escalating into nuclear exchanges became a constant concern. And obviously, this most recent attack on April 22nd, people are like, wait a minute, what are we doing with this? Modi responded to the attacks on April 22nd. Here's what he said on Twitter. I strongly condemn the terror attack in Pahalgam, Jammu and Kashmir. Condolences to those who have lost their loved ones. I pray that the injured recover at the earliest. All possible assistance is being provided to those affected. Those behind this heinous act will be...
One of the craziest story is like they killed only men and they left the kids and the women and basically told them to go tell Modi because a lot of people from Pakistan really hate Modi. And so basically they were telling him, oh, go tell him what we did. The craziest part is I'm pretty sure the terrorists are still in India, somewhere in Kashmir, and Indian government hasn't found them. So that's also like clearly India needs to increase their security forces and do a better job.
Brought to justice. They will not be spared. Their evil agenda will never succeed. Our resolve to fight terrorism is unshakable, and it will get even stronger. April 22nd, 2025, at the time, 33.5 million views. Everybody's watching what this man had to say. So now, Modi is saying this, and then Pakistan comes on and says, well, listen, we're denying this. We were not behind this. We didn't do anything like this. This is not us. This is a terrorist organization. We would not do something.
Exactly, yeah. So Modi ran on this campaign, and that's why he won too. I don't know when he won. But basically, he was like, I'll protect India from terrorism, and stuff like this is now happening.
Like this to India. You know, this is not something we...
Just to play, like, I guess, devil's advocate to my own point, I could understand why India does not want to respond very strongly because it's the same dilemma that we talked about at the start of the stream. India does not want to get into a prolonged war because it has, like, once in a lifetime or maybe once in, like, 10 centuries opportunity to get a lot of business from China. Once factories decide where they want to go and when they start building, it's very hard to convince them to move. But right now, factories are leaving China, and India is like one of the top countries that a lot of companies want to move to. So India wants to make sure that they get all that business because it will help their economy. And that's one of the big reasons maybe India does not want to like respond too heavily against Pakistan and start a war.
We want for it to be escalating, et cetera, et cetera. Anyways, you can either believe him or not believe him, but typically when this happens, Pakistan likes to say, we were not the ones behind. So now we have to think about what the response is. Obviously, India just bombed Pakistan, but we got to think about what else happened. Number one, terror response. India pledged severe retaliation, potentially military or covert, and accused Pakistan of state-sponsored terrorism. The attack was claimed by a group linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba. I talked about it earlier. Number two, water issue. Watch this one here. Water treaty suspended. India puts the Indus Water Treaty on hold, citing Pakistan continued support for terrorism. This threatens Pakistan's critical water supply and raises tensions immediately. And Pakistan comes back and says, wait a minute, if we're dealing with water, this is a treaty that we signed a long time ago in 1960 between India and Pakistan, a water distribution.
We just started streaming like 3 days ago, but we plan on streaming every single day at 4 p.m. Eastern. But thank you so much for another $2 money. I think you have donated like 10 times already. So really appreciate it. Does CCP support Taliban in order to get minerals? Yeah, CCP is likely getting something. Same reason CCP has invested so much in Pakistan, because they got a lot of, I think, hydro plants, hydro dams. They have a very strategic port that basically CCP owns. And many people have argued that Pakistan is basically becoming like a Chinese province. And that's why if there is a war, China will be involved heavily. They have invested a lot of money in Pakistan, and on top of that, they have a lot of influence in Pakistan.
Agreement that allocates the use of Indus River and its tributaries between the two countries. It was brokered by the World Bank and divided the...
Yeah, I have a YouTube auto mod on because we don't have a team. It's just me right now. So we don't have anyone managing the chat. So I can't do the stream and the chat that much. So it's just YouTube's helping out.
Rivers into western rivers, Indus, Jhelum, Chenab for Pakistan, and eastern rivers, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej for India. Pakistan labeled this with the water as an act of war and a violation of one of its nuclear red lines. That's what Pakistan said about the water. Number three, land travel block. India shut down border crossings and ordered Pakistani nationals to leave Pakistan. Mirrored the action. Bus and train links had already been suspended. Number four, airspace closed. Both countries banned each other's airlines from using their airspace. The ban is in place until May 24th, possibly longer. Number five, sea access blocked. All ship travel between...
So is this, someone asked if this is a war? Well, Pakistan's saying it's a war, but then again, they have a habit of throwing that word around very easily. But they're saying what India did is declaration of war, and Pakistan will respond appropriately.
Between India and Pakistan is banned. Each side has blocked access to their ports for the other's vessels. Number 6, visas canceled. India revoked nearly all visas for Pakistanis, including medical ones, and ended the SAARC visa program. Pakistan did the same. Number 7, diplomatic expulsions. India expelled Pakistani defense attaches and cut embassy staff by nearly half. Pakistan responded identically.
Okay,
Sir Imran Khan, if you cross the line, remember how earlier we talked about militants' actions that have drawn criticism for human rights violations. Now, here's the thing that Pakistan has. There's something they call the nuclear doctrine and red lines, meaning if you cross the line, remember how earlier we talked about in this water treaty that they had many years ago from 1960, that's one of them. Next one, territorial laws, red lines. That means we're going to use our nuclear weapon on you. Military destruction, economics.
No, we don't go. So usually our plan is to stream every day at 4 p.m. Eastern, but today we're kind of late because I was sleep deprived. But moving forward, I think it will be, for most days, it will be 4 p.m. Eastern every single day.
Strangulation, political destabilization, and internal subversion. Guess what? One could say all of these are happening right now. You know what's crazy about this whole thing? Think about India and Pakistan, right? Imagine who is the last country you would think in the Middle East to say, hey guys, you got to pump the brakes and find a way to control and exercise restraint. What is the last country in the Middle East that you think would say that to India and Pakistan? You ready? Iran. Iran's foreign minister urging both nations to exercise restraint. Can you know how weird that it's like a criminal that's killed 29 people, gone to jail, he's killed a bunch of your guys, like, look, man, you don't need to do this. This isn't the right thing to do. Bro, what are you talking about? Iran's telling them, don't fight. Even the UN Security Council discussing the issue and calling for de-escalation and dialogue. Everybody is concerned that this could get nasty. So let me step back and kind of process this here together with you. Let's go to the positive and then let's talk about the negative. Well, what's the positive? Right here, you're sitting there saying, well, what side is Russia on? Is Russia on Pakistan's side? Because Russia and China, BRICS, they should be on the same side.
Well, India is part of the BRICS too. This is why like people overblow how powerful BRICS is. Like a lot of their goals, like they're never going to achieve it. There's not going to be a BRICS currency. China would want it to be yuan. No one in the world is going to use yuan because China is just not open about it. They just started hiding more data 2 days ago. On top of it, India will never trust China. China has invaded India multiple times already, and it controls a lot of Indian territory. And on top of that, it claims that it has claim to a lot more Indian territory. So India is never going to just agree to a BRICS currency that China controls. Who else is going to have a BRICS currency? Brazil, Russia, South Africa? Like none of these countries have a currency strong enough, or India, that to create like a global currency that can rival the dollar.
Together, right? Well, no, BRICS is also India, but then China and Russia, are they not going to have an issue together? Is Xi going to be able to call Putin and say, hey, you better stay out of this one? Is Putin going to say, I don't know about this, man. India, 60% of their military supply comes from me. India, 40% of oil they buy from me. I'm sanctioned by a lot of different guys, but these guys are still doing business with me. I'm going to be on India's side. You better not be on their side. Who else is going to be on Pakistan's side? Think about that. China is pissed off because India is getting the business. And if this thing gets even uglier, could US have to get involved? And this leads to the whole thing with Russia.
Yeah, exactly. BRICS is an economic partnership, not political. And one of their goals was really wanted a BRICS currency, but it's just not going to work. What else are they doing? Trade? That was happening without BRICS too.
Cold War, US communism? I don't know, but this is something definitely to follow very, very closely because again, China is desperate. On the big stage, if China goes and they're seen sitting down with Xi, in their eyes, it's a loss because they lose face in front of their people. Their pride doesn't want to get them to fly to DC, Pennsylvania Avenue, sit down and have a conversation with President Trump.
Oh, by the way, there is, I think, on the 9th, what day is this today? 7th. So just in 2 days, US and China are meeting in Switzerland to start the negotiations. It's not going to be negotiating on the tariff. It's going to be like the first step of the negotiation. So they're going to talk about what they need to talk about. But clearly, China was saying they're not going to talk to the US unless US lifts all tariffs. We haven't lifted a single tariff. All the while, China has lifted like half the tariff they put on US products, and now they're open to negotiation. So you can tell who's struggling more. And also 2 days ago, like I just covered, let me pull up that article. Wall Street Journal, China, blocks data. This is it. So just 2 days ago, China started hiding more and more data. So you guys tell me, if Chinese economy was doing good, you guys really think CCP is going to be like, hey guys, we don't want to tell you how good we are doing, so we'll just stop publishing the data. That's just not happening. So their economy is struggling so bad that they have to hide the data to hide from the world how bad the trade is affecting their economic data. But on top of that, you can see all the data they're hiding. Hopefully it's showing you guys. Let me pull this up. Yeah. The land sale data they were hiding, we've already talked about the Chinese real estate market. That's going to good. You got any data on Trump? Huge news, massive news? Yeah, I have no clue what Trump means when he says he has huge news coming up. Didn't he say he's going to say that on Friday? So let's see what this is. But look at this. The land data was just going down, 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 and they just stopped publishing right here. Then we have how many people filed for unemployment basically in China. You know how we have unemployment here in the US? It was going up, 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 then they just stopped publishing. All the while, the GDP figures always beat the expectations. As you guys know, almost a week ago, CCP released the Q1 GDP for China, and the GDP growth was 5.4%, beating the expectation that CCP set themselves, which was 5.1%. All the while, all the other metrics don't line up with the GDP. CCP just makes up GDP data and publishes it, and everyone just goes with it. But let's get back to this video. That was a big tangent.
J.D. Vance, Lutnick, and others, because again, they don't want that. Just a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, they said, we're willing to have talks with U.S. as long as they're willing to be respectful to us. This isn't about respectful. This is getting nasty. And anytime somebody gets desperate, I was always told many years ago, never recruit desperate salespeople because they will misrepresent because they need to pay the bills. Never. Always make sure your sales guys have money in the bank. Always make sure your sales guys' marriage is good. Always make sure your sales guys are doing okay. Because if they don't have money in the bank, marriage isn't good, they will misrepresent and sell anything because they're in a desperate place that could lead to compliance issues. China's that salesperson that's desperate right now. And they're capable of doing anything dumb, with this being one of them. I just hope it doesn't get any worse than it is today. We're gonna find out because it's way too early. So keep your eyes on what's going on with the story. As we hear updates, we're going to do more things about this as well. So if you want the...
Also, one other thing that I'm sure many of you guys remember, that we had a trade war with China during Trump administration 1. And what China did back then was basically play for time. China wasted time. So Trump put on tariff in 2018, and there wasn't a deal signed until late 2019, early 2020. So China was hoping that they can just drag out the negotiations and they wouldn't have to follow through everything they agreed on. They were hoping that whoever the next president is, he's going to be easier on China than Trump. Unfortunately, President Biden just doubled down on Trump tariff, and he put on more tariff. And this time, China's trying to do the same thing. That's why they're wasting so much time. They didn't want to negotiate, but then a month later, they're saying, oh, they're open to negotiating. And now they're going to just try to do the same thing where they just waste time. They try to have a meeting here. A month later, they'll try to have a meeting there, all the while not agreeing to anything. But it seems like Trump has learned his lesson from 2018, 2019, and that's why he's pushing for a meeting with Xi. He's like, if China wants to sign a deal, Xi needs to show up. Let's check. Hey, penguins have been taken. Yeah, the penguin the penguin country was very unique. Like, it was stupid why we did that, but was Howard Lutnick's position? I don't know. But Lutnick said they did that because some countries use the island as like to avoid the tariff. So they would just transship any goods they have through different countries, and that's why they wanted to include the island. Now, I don't know if I believe that. I think it was a mistake, and now they are just like going with it. Overproduction is a tool for beating competitors when trade is free. Exactly, and on top of that, it's not even overproduction. The trade is not really free. Like, you and me cannot go to China and just start a business. That's like, if it's free trade, they need to do the same thing. Like, they need to offer the same market that we're offering to them. If they're not doing that, it's not free trade, it's not capitalism, it's mercantilism. Basically, China wants access to our markets. They want to have free and fair trade, but we cannot do the same thing when we go to China. So China can come here, sell their products, and on top of that, they copy like products that American entrepreneurs make. They just copy it, produce it in China, they break all the IP laws we have, and they sell it over here. If you want to sue any Chinese company, good luck. You can go to China, sue them, but you're not going to get any results. When you say penguins, you tell on yourself, yeah. Yeah, maybe Trump didn't want to leave any opening for Chinese goods to get through, and that's why we put the tariff. That's what the administration is claiming. But it makes sense why we tariffed every single country, because that's what China did the first time. Back in 2018, we put tariffs on China. What happened? Our trade with Vietnam, our trade with, Cambodia, Mexico, it went up. Like, as soon as we put tariffs on China and we agreed to a trade deal. At the end of the day, China was just shipping their stuff from Vietnam and from Mexico. Let me see if I can find a good chart for this. Vietnam. Right here. Found a great chart. You guys can see trade we have with other countries. And as soon as we put tariff on China, the trade just went up. Basically, China was using all these other countries. To send more product into US. And this is why we tariffed every single country. And now, basically, all these countries have a choice. Of course, they need to negotiate their own trade deal. But one of the big conditions that we're pushing for is that they need to agree to not help China, basically avoid US tariffs. If they continue to help China, they will face punitive tariffs. Basically, their economy will suffer if they want to help China. Now, no one's going to do that. Think about it. Everyone's going to put their self-interest before any other country. And same thing with China, right? So if we go to Vietnam and say, hey, if you want to continue trading with the United States, you need to make sure China cannot use your country to avoid our tariffs. So Vietnam has to do that. Otherwise, they'll face heavy punishments. Oh, by the way, Temu has stopped advertising completely. They don't do any more shipments from China to US directly anymore. Whatever you see on Temu, if you do have the app, and I don't know why you would, it's all the stuff they already have in the United States that's in US warehouses. They don't have any trade going on between US and China anymore. Does CCP plan to annex Siberia? I don't think they plan on doing that anytime soon. Maybe in the future, and this is where we have to look at the history of China and Russia. They're not really true allies. Only reason they're so friendly right now is because they see United States as like one common enemy, and that's why they're like working together to bring the US down. But I think as soon as they stop seeing that, or as soon as they think they cannot compete with the US, they'll probably turn on each other. No more Temu and no more Shein too. Now, only thing that we're waiting for from the Trump administration is TikTok. I don't understand why we keep extending TikTok. Also, we have reports that Trump may extend it one more time. So we're going to give another 90 days to TikTok. So CCP can use TikTok to push propaganda here in the United States. But this is a great 3D video on how the Indian strike carried out. So let's quickly watch this. And I think after that, we'll pause the stream for today.
This is Operation Sindoor, where India strikes 9 sites in Pakistan in response to what it claims was a Pakistan-sponsored massacre in Pahalgam that killed 26 tourists. To avenge this incident, India reportedly used a mix of advanced weaponry, including the French-made Scalp missile, also known as Storm Shadow, and the Hammer, a precision-guided free-fall bomb. But here's the twist. Pakistan claims it shot down 5
Wait, am I tripping, or is Storm Shadow a UK missile? Oh, it is French and UK. Okay, that makes sense.
Indian jets, with more details all in the video ahead. We'll now look at the detailed timeline of how...
Well, it's true, a lot of people make money off of TikTok, but it's also like India had the same issue, right? A lot more Indians were on TikTok. They just banned it overnight. And they banned it right after Pakistan invaded India. They invaded a little territory on the border. And India was like, yeah, if you're gonna do stuff like that, we're not gonna just let you have access to hundreds of millions of Indian citizens. Because think about it. On one side, we're trying to get a fair deal with India. On the other side, we're trying to get a fair deal with China. And on the other side, CCP has access to 130 million Americans directly. They can push any video they want. And they're pushing videos like this that we watched at the beginning of the stream, where there's it's a pure lie, and the lie is basically supposed to make China look good and make US look bad because we are trying to get a fair trade deal.
How the operation unfolded, beginning with the launch of India's fighter jets, including the French-made Rafale. At around 1:28 in the morning, India initiated.
Someone asked, wasn't there something about 500% tariff to countries that get fuel resources from Russia? Yep, there is. So that bill is in Senate right now, and it has bipartisan support. So senators from both sides support it, and we should do it. Any country that's supporting the Russian war, helping Russia continue this senseless war that Putin started, will slap on 500% tariff. So that's going to be China and India and Iran, a lot of countries who have continued buying Russian oil.
Initiated precision missile strikes on 9 high-value targets located in Pakistan or Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. These targets reportedly included key locations such as Bahawalpur, the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, Mirik, known to house Lashkar-e-Taiba facilities, as well as Tarakalin, Sialkot, Bimber, Kotli, and Muzaffar.
Europe is not buying Russian oil, but they are still buying Russian gas. But it's not Europe. Like, it's, I guess, unfair to characterize Europe as a whole. It's the countries that are kind of like pro-Russia. They still support Russia. So it's, I think, Serbia, Hungary, and I think one more country that I'm not remembering. But these were the countries that are still buying Russian gas.
Jafarabad. The Indian Air Force.
I'm not saying the apartment video is not real. It's clearly a real apartment video. I'm saying it's not affordable. It's $5 million. It's $3 million apartment.
Deployed Rafale jets armed with Scalp cruise missiles and Hammer precision-guided bombs. The entire aerial operation lasted approximately 23 minutes, conducted with high coordination and speed. Between 1:28 and 1:51 a.m., loud explosions were reported across several cities, with power outages occurring in Bahawalpur and Muzaffarabad, adding to the chaos and confusion on the ground. The strike was believed to have originated primarily from Ambala Air Force Station in Haryana, one of Indian Air Force.
So a lot of people have speculated that Pakistan may try to attack the airbase. So send like a message that India used the airbase to attack Pakistan, so they're gonna attack the airbase directly.
Force main Rafale bases. At approximately 2 in the morning, a formation of Rafale fighter jets equipped with Storm Shadow air-launched cruise missiles took off from possibly Ambala under radio silence.
Yeah, Trump did say big meeting, but then again, he also said it's not about trade. So we don't know what's it about. And also, the meeting the U.S. has with China is not with Xi Jinping. Secretary of State Scott Bessent is meeting with Chinese Vice President. I don't know his name. Let me look it up. Han Zheng. So he's meeting with Chinese Vice President.
The Rafale, with its long range and stealth-friendly profile, ascended to high altitude and maintained an oblique flight path toward the international border, skirting radar coverage while staying within Indian airspace. At around 100 to 120 kilometers from the Indo-Pak border, the Scalp missiles were launched toward pre-programmed coordinates inside Pakistan.
Yeah, so none of the jets actually crossed into Pakistan. They just stayed in the Indian airspace and they just attacked, because all the targets they had were right on the border, so they didn't have to cross into the airspace.
Pakistan's interior, reportedly targeting infrastructure tied to cross-border terror logistics. Given the Scalp range of over 500 kilometers, the French Rafale did not need to enter Pakistani airspace, and the missile likely traveled at low altitudes, using terrain humming guidance to evade enemy radar before striking with high accuracy. Simultaneously, a secondary wave of Rafale aircraft armed with Hammer, highly agile modular munition extended range, bombs was deployed for tactical strikes on forward positions near the line of control. These jets, possibly taking off.
Yeah, so a lot of people are claiming different amount, kill switch. We know for sure one Indian plane was crashed. We don't know if Pakistan shot it down or not, because India is basically not talking about it. But French have confirmed that one Rafale jet has been crashed, and it's inside India. But Pakistan claims they have shot down 5 jets. Now, we don't know what's true, but we can guess that the truth is somewhere in between. It's either 1 or somewhere in between 1 to 5.
From Ambala as well, or forward operating.
So the news about one Chinese jet being shot down, I couldn't find anything that's confirming that. So again, both sides are lying heavily, so it's hard to figure out what's true.
Strips in Jammu launched the Hammer bombs from a standoff range of approximately 50 to 70 kilometers, targeting bunkers and movement corridors near areas like Kotli and Bimber. These precision bombs are capable of penetrating hardened shelters and were likely used to neutralize fortified shelters believed to house militant operatives or weapons caches. At roughly the same time, Sukhoi Su-30 fighter aircraft were launched from Bareilly Air Force Station. They might be carrying air-launched variants of the BrahMos supersonic cruise missile. The Sukhoi Su-30 followed a different trajectory, sweeping further south and west, before launching BrahMos missiles aimed at key logistical nodes, including suspected weapons dumps and radar installations supporting asymmetric warfare. The BrahMos, flying at speeds over Mach 2.8, reduced enemy reaction time drastically, hitting targets that lay up to 400.
No, it could be the Indian plane just failed out of the mechanical malfunction, but it seems unlikely, at least to me. It's like when we attack Houthis locations and we kill like one of their commanders, Houthis always have this announcement. They're like, oh, the commander died from a heart attack right when we drop the missiles. So it just seems unlikely. So even if like right when they're attacking, there's a mechanical failure. I'm not saying it's impossible. It just seems low probability event.
To 500 kilometers inside Pakistani territory. With the Su-30 extended range, the aircraft could complete the...
So I think India has a lot of like Russian jets. They have the French Rafale. I think they also have the Russian MiG something. I'm forgetting. I think MiG-27. But when Modi visited White House, I think a few months ago, he did sign the deal for F-35s. Now, we don't know when India is going to get that, but that's going to be huge. Because as of right now, I think Indian and Pakistani air forces are very close. And thank you so much, Jake McGill, for becoming a member. And we have another $2 from Manik Kailia. CCP authorized Russia to invade Ukraine. And yeah, that's correct. I don't know if you guys remember, apparently there was there was some kind of Olympics going on in China, and Putin was planning on invading Ukraine before China hosted the Olympic Games. So Xi Jinping literally asked him to just delay it, and Putin delayed it. So that's pretty insane.
The mission and return without crossing hostile airspace. In support of these air missions, a network of loitering drones, possibly indigenous ALFAs or Israeli Sky Striker units, was deployed from mobile forward launchers near Rajouri and Poonch. These unmanned systems were launched hours earlier and have been circling their assigned target areas. Once real-time signals confirmed enemy movement or leadership presence, these kamikaze drones dove on their targets, causing localized but critical damage, particularly to mobile radio stations and a command vehicle convoy reportedly en route to a hardened shelter. Unconfirmed reports emerging from the region suggest that Pakistan mounted a swift and forceful response following a recent escalation, allegedly resulting in the downing of 5 Indian aircraft. According to statements attributed to Pakistani military officials, the assets targeted included 3 Dassault Rafale fighter jets, a Sukhoi Su-30, a Mikoyan MiG-29, and an
We know the jets. Here's the jets.
Israeli-made Heron drone. But before we move ahead, let's take a look at how this French-made Scalp missile works.
So I think that's pretty much the new information now. He just talks about the Scalp missile. But yeah, let's see what questions we have. How much range do the Pakistani nuclear weapons have? I guess that would depend on what missiles they use, right? We don't exactly know what they have, because one of the surprising thing we learned is Pakistan has a lot of new Chinese equipment that we're finding out just now. I think even India was surprised that they were able to take down Indian jets. All right, so I was a little late today, but every day we'll stream at 4 p.m. Eastern, guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. It was definitely a great stream. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Peace.